The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
This is Mick Shots.
Streaming live on DallasCowboys.com and the official Dallas Cowboys app.
Now, here are Bill Jones, Everson Walls, and Mickey Spagnola.
And it is a fabulous Football Friday edition of Mick Shots, live inside the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star in Frisco is one Mickey Spagnola. Hello, Mickey Spagnola.
Hello, I thought I was listening to Keith Jackson there for a while.
Whoa, nothing. We've got Everson Walls.
We could not do without you, Bill. We could not do without you, sir. I promise you. If I had to start this show with Spag's voice every day, it would be a downer. Okay, so thank God for Bill Jones.
What are you trying to say?
Hey, I'm not trying. I just said it. I'm sorry.
And we are ready for a fabulous football weekend. In my opinion, this is the second full football weekend of the year because obviously it's the fourth weekend of NFL games, but it's the second almost full weekend of college football. And so that sort of completes my Saturday, and we go into Sunday. And so that's why I'm extra excited about and we're in the month of October. This is a football month, October, and that's why Mickey Spagnola, the Cowboys, are going to turn this thing around in the month of October.
October's turnaround
Mickey,
month, huh?
Mickey, right. And the Cowboys. So we're expecting Spags to help us turn around the Cowboys. All right, here we go.
Well,
that's a lot of work to do.
Now you're in trouble if I got to turn them around.
Yeah. But it should be fun. Over the course of the next 45 minutes, we'll be breaking down what the Browns bring to town. They are riding a wave of momentum. They've won 2 straight games over the likes of the Cincinnati Bengals and the Washington football team. So you know that they are brimming with confidence as they come in here and take on a 1-2 Cowboys team. And let me tell you, that's what makes this game all the more important for the Cowboys. They can't afford to get to 1-3. They've got to even this record at 2-2, Mickey.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, this is, as Mike McCarthy said yesterday, an important 3-game stretch when you have the unusual 3 home games in a row. And, again, they just got to clean themselves up. If they clean themselves up, you know, they should have no problems in this game, I would think. But again,
so it's kind of they need to Mickey. They need to take a COVID approach to this. They got to clean themselves up. They got to wash their hands.
I said
sanitize. They got to sanitize.
I said on Monday morning after the game Saturday, they need to go buy some extra strength Mr. Clean. And so if they can take care of themselves, they'll take care of the Browns. But first and foremost, they got to take care of themselves. They got to cut the turnovers out. They got to execute. They can't have mistakes that lead to big mistakes that lead to turnovers. And you can't fumble kickoffs and then recover it at the 1-yard line, right? So if you eliminate all that stuff, and you eliminate the mistakes, then, yeah, you ought to be able to overcome the opposition. But when you got to overcome yourself and the opposition, it's not a pretty sight. And we've seen it, you know, it's 50-50. One time you do, one time you don't. And so that's kind of the way it goes.
And on the other hand, when you look at the Browns, boy, they are feeling so good about themselves right now. I don't think I've played for a more prouder organization than the Cleveland Browns. Obviously, they're older than the Cowboys. They don't have any type of America's team moniker or anything. They're just the Browns who have been the Browns from the beginning of time, except for when I think they were the St. Louis Browns. But for the most part, that Cleveland Browns organization has been through a lot. They are 2-1. And when they're riding a 2-game winning streak, these guys are really feeling good about themselves. It's going to take a Herculean effort to just knock them down a size, just knock them down a peg, because they are really feeling confident right now. And that makes me a bit uncomfortable.
Well, and they're playing football the way they want to play on the offensive side of the ball, and I think it starts with the move they made at the end of last season, where they brought Kevin Stefanski in as their head coach. Alex Van Pelt is their offensive coordinator, and by the way, he, of course, has ties with Mike McCarthy. This is the second straight week the Cowboys have gone up against an offensive coordinator who has close ties with McCarthy. It was Brian Schottenheimer last week. Of course, McCarthy coached for his dad, Marty Schottenheimer, with the Chiefs. But Alex Van Pelt, the OC for the Browns, was on the Packers staff. And, in fact, the relationship McCarthy has with Van Pelt goes back to when Van Pelt was a quarterback at the University of Pittsburgh, and Mike McCarthy was just getting started in the coaching profession. And then they got Bill Callahan as the offensive line coach, and that is where the Browns really had to shore up this team and give Baker Mayfield a chance to do what he can do on offense, because they drafted one offensive tackle. They signed another one in free agency. They already had a two-time Pro Bowler at one of the guard spots in Batonio, and now they can focus on running the football with Chubb. We'll see if Kareem Hunt is healthy for this game on Sunday, but that's their emphasis. It takes the burden off Baker Mayfield, Mickey.
Yeah, and absolutely. And, that was so. I don't know if you guys got to listen to Mike McCarthy's press conference today, but I had a question all teed up in my mind yesterday, and they kind of ran out of time and didn't have a chance to jump in. But I wanted to ask him about the Cowboys having played their nickel defense those first 3 weeks of the season against teams that basically are throwing the ball, run three wide. But now you're going to face a team that is not that way, is not structured that way. They like to run the ball. We talked about it yesterday, Bill. You talked about how many, I think it was 17 plays for a fullback. They like to play a lot of two tight end. So my question to him is going to be, how are you going to adjust your base defense? Can you still stay and play all that nickel, or are you going to have an extra linebacker? Well, Todd Archer, ESPN Dallas, asked that question, and Mike started the answer with, "I'm sorry, are you part of the Cleveland coaching staff?" He wanted no part of that question, right? And then he came around and said, "We'll be in whatever personnel we need to be in to stop them." And so that was that. But this is going to be a different opponent. They do like to run the ball. Now, it'll be a question if it ends up being all Nick Chubb, because Kareem Hunt had a groin injury and he didn't practice these last 2 days, and it was starting to sound like it might be doubtful that he's ready to go. We should find out more about that after the Browns practice today. But they have a few injury problems themselves, not just the Cowboys. But you're exactly right. They better batten down the hatches against this run. Otherwise, they ain't going to never get a chance to rush Baker Mayfield.
It's so funny that Coach McCarthy's trying to be coy. There's really only so many things you can do, right, Spags? I mean, we know what the options are. I'm sure Cleveland already has anticipated and practiced against the different scenarios and personnel that the Cowboys have. I mean, you and I, Spags, can sit here, as we did yesterday, and talk about the different options that we might have. You're going to have to put in another linebacker. If you don't put another linebacker, then you're going to be looking like the Chicago Bears with that 46. You're going to have a safety and a linebacker right next to each other. They're going to be kind of crowding the line a little bit, especially if they already show with the two tight ends. We already know what we have. So the personnel is not going to be, they can't come out with any type of personnel that's going to just befuddle the offensive coordinator for the Cleveland Browns. They know they've only got like 1 or 3 options to deal with, and that's all we can do. So I think we pretty much know what's going to happen. They know that we know what's going to happen. So all this secrecy and all this, playing coy, to me, is kind of cute, but so unnecessary. So unnecessary.
You know what? And
here's the other thing.
Go ahead, Bill.
You go ahead, Mickey.
I was going to say he also.
The other thing I was going to.
We got to pull. We have to pull back the curtain. They're on a 2-second delay compared to me, so I have to slow down.
Go ahead.
Okay,
Spags.
I'm going. He also pointed
Mickey,
out
you
that
got it.
if Cleveland watched the game, went over the Seattle game last week and saw how susceptible the Cowboys were to the deep pass, he said, they're going to think we're very going to be run conscious, and he goes, and I would imagine they're going to have some play action and want to go deep on us to see if we've corrected our coverage problems.
Well, here's the other part of that, too, is when you go back and look at what Seattle did, and I don't know, I haven't studied Seattle week to week to know if this is something that they normally do with their offense, but you go back to the Rams game, and what the Rams do, Sean McVay's offense, they run a lot of tight formations, bunch formations with their wide receivers. Will McClay was explaining it when the Cowboys played the Rams last week. It's like an inside-out type offense that the Rams run. There's a lot of plays that the Seahawks made against the Cowboys last week where they were running from that sort of bunch formation, and it confused the Cowboys. And that's one of the reasons, if you look back at some of those plays, that some of those receivers were running wide open, is the Cowboys were having difficulty dissecting who's got who, and they're leaving guys open either underneath or deep. It happened numerous times in the game, as we all saw. But teams go to the point is teams go to school on what's worked the previous weeks. Now we've got all the teams have 3 weeks of evidence of what has been working against this defense, and that's where you have to self-scout yourself to make sure that you take care of those issues.
That's funny. I like that, Bill, because that's what they do. If you see something has worked, then you say, okay, have they learned their lesson? And Spags, you're funny. You said they're going to go deep on us with the play action to see if we've shored up our deep pass coverage. Hell, we hadn't done that for 3 years. What are you talking about? So we've never learned that lesson. That's a given. But when it comes to the running game, we've got to pick our poison, obviously, with this defense that we have. And as long as our ends can shore the corner, as long as we can shut down the wide plays and the bootlegs and things of that nature, it will limit what the Browns offense can do. So we have to worry about what our defense is made to do. We have to make sure everyone plays where they have to play. That has to be a given. Otherwise, we're going to be reacting to every offense that comes in here, as opposed to being the ones that force the whole pace of the game. We have not defensively controlled the pace of the game in quite some time. That's where we need to start, regardless of what the opposition comes in with.
And what Bill talked about with the bunch stuff, all you got to do is go look at the goal line plays, the 2-point conversion plays. They bunched everybody up and then busted them out. And the Cowboys had no clue. And the worst one was the touchdown when Lockett was on the right side bunched, and he went all the way behind the formation to the left, and nobody went with him. So, yeah, I'm sure when teams see that.
That was when I heard Troy. I wanted to ask you about that, Spags. That's when I heard Troy talking about our defense, and he mentioned that we have a goal line defense that is man-to-man on one side and zone on the other side, which is what the weakness was in that defense. According to Troy, makes zero sense to me that a defense like that exists. Is that something that we have done throughout this year, or is that something new that we tried, or is just Troy just speculating?
Well, all I know is if he was on the side where there was man-to-man and he ran into the zone wasn't there. The zone was playing man-to-man. So all I know is...
I can't think of a defense that has man on one side and zone on the other.
Yeah.
I can't even fathom a defense like that.
Because if
on the Lockett play, and it's easy, or it's actually difficult for us in our position not knowing what defense they're supposed to be in.
Right.
Because I mean, we can look at the coach's film and we can think that, okay, this guy made a mistake. Well, we don't know for sure if who was in the right defense, if anybody was. But
anybody was.
I mean, it looks like on that Lockett one, it was like a two-man game, Russell Wilson and Tyler Lockett, and he ran that out, and Trayvon Diggs, you have a rookie cornerback on that side, and he was slow to react on it, and they had him beat. But I have no idea whether Diggs is the guy that was at fault on it or not. But it gets back to whether it was that play or the play where Diggs got beat deep. I mean, he was beat by a ton, his little stutter step, and Metcalf had him beat, and he wound up knocking the ball out for a turnover. But I ask you, Everson, how tough is it from a mental standpoint for a cornerback like Trayvon Diggs coming in here? This was his third NFL game. He didn't have any preseason games. He had no off-season on the field instruction. How difficult is it from a mental standpoint for him to be able to make plays on the spur of the moment like that and be able to read what's going on and not get caught flat-footed?
Well, one thing you have to realize, of course, that the unusual situation and circumstances that really affected his offseason. You talked about the lack of preseason. But if you're going to come in and start, regardless of how many times you get beat, and boy, I've been there as a rookie. I mean, those balls are going to be flying over your head because they're looking right at you when you come out of the huddle. I remember Joe Theismann winked at me one time. Jim Hart, you just basically pointed at me and said, we're coming at him. So you're always going to be the target of any quarterback just because of your inexperience. But once you settle in, regardless of what happens, how many times you get beat, you have to stick with what's good for you. And what's good for Trayvon is the fact that he has the ability to catch up. He has the athletic ability to cover any type of route. All he's got to do is mentally calm himself down, because right now things are happening so quickly that he feels like he's out of sorts. What he must do is, and I always did this, you have to speed up your thought process. You can't be out there as if you're half asleep. You have to turn your brain, and somehow you have to turn your brain into a faster thinking machine, and therefore you can react quicker from brain to feet. He's always been able to do that. It's natural. He just has to allow himself to do that amongst the fears that he has of getting beat. The worst thing about a cornerback is to be afraid to get beat. You can't be afraid because it's going to happen. You have to say, okay, you got me that time. This time, it's mine. There's no such thing as defense or offense when that ball is in the air, Bill. No such thing at all. Once it's in the air, you think like a receiver, not as a defender. And that's what he's done all throughout college. He has to continue to do that in the pros, even though right now things are going so fast.
Well, and we're up against a break here, but one name.
Oh, is that what that bell was? Thanks, guys.
One name caught me there. Everson, you played against Jim Hart? Jim Hart? Jim Hart started his career in 1965, and you played against him? You got to
hey, I can't help it. He's got longevity. Don't get on me because he's got longevity. All I know is he lined his big belly up there, and he could still throw that ball. Okay, and he had great receivers. You know, back then. And don't you start talking trash about the quality of quarterbacks, Spags. I don't want to hear that ever again.
Jim Hart was one of the greats.
Damn right. You damn right. You tell Spags
That's
that.
Right. I don't care if he did. Let me see. I don't care if he did throw 247 interceptions and only 209 touchdown passes. He was one of the greats of all time.
Oh, shut up, Bill. Thanks a lot.
We continue with more Mick shots in just a moment.
Hey there, Cowboys fans. With Tide Cleaners at-home pickup and delivery, Cleaning your clothes has never been more convenient. Simply sign up at your local store, set out your dirty clothes, and one of our Tide Cleaners professionals will come directly to your home for a totally contactless experience. Your clean garments will be returned promptly the next scheduled delivery day, so skip the errand and enjoy life, not laundry. Visit TideCleaners.com or your local store to sign up for Tide Cleaners at home pickup and delivery today.
Make the most of summer with Ford, America's best-selling brand, during the Ford Summer Sales Event. With great offers on a huge selection of Ford SUVs and the largest selection of truck inventory to choose from. Get huge offers across the Ford lineup. So grab the family and head out. Ford's helping you make the most out of summer. It's easier now during the Ford Summer Sales Event. Based on 2019 calendar year total sales. Based on Autodata compact and full-size stock inventory as of June 2020.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
I'm Jay Novacek, former tight end for the Dallas Cowboys. Back in the day, I was the guy who always got the tough yards, and that's why I run with John Deere today. In fact, I have a John Deere 3025E tractor that can handle any yard work I need to do, even the tough yards way out back. So if you have 1 acre or 1,000, John Deere has the equipment that's just right for you. Visit a John Deere dealer today and run with us. We are the official tractor provider of your Dallas Cowboys.
Back to Mick Shots.
Looking for something to change up your dinner routine? Help support local Frisco businesses by choosing one of the Star District restaurants. For information on delivery, takeout, curbside pickup, and dine-in availability, visit thestardistrict.com. We were just talking about Everson having faced Jim Hart, the legendary St. Louis Cardinal quarterback. Well, Mickey just pointed out during the break that last weekend, of course, Mississippi State beat LSU, the defending national champion. First time that a defending national champion has lost the season opener since when, Mickey?
1978. It was Notre Dame, they pointed out. Well, I told the rest of the story because I covered that game. Missouri, in Warren Power's debut as a head coach, went to Notre Dame and beat them 3-0. 3-0 because former Missouri head coach Dan Devine, now the head coach at Notre Dame, had the ball first and goal 3 times inside the 5-yard line, and he refused to kick a field goal. Even when the ball game got down to the last minute, they went for it on 4th down and got stopped. With Joe Montana at quarterback, by the way.
What a dummy. Oh, my God.
He was
Pride goeth before the fall.
Yes, he was indignant that he was going to have to kick a field goal to tie the game. Boy, we're winning this one, right? Well, they didn't.
Yeah.
And by the way, Bill,
it was just pointed out, Bill, that Chris Bean was born in 1978.
Who was?
Chris, our producer.
Oh, Chris Bean was.
In 1978.
Oh, wow. So there you go.
There you go, Chris.
All right, I got a little trivia question for you as we look.
He looks older, but that's okay.
Yeah. Little trivia question I asked at the end of the show yesterday about how many players on the rosters of the Cowboys and the Browns played in state championship games at either Texas Stadium or AT&T Stadium. Mickey, did you do your homework on that?
I absolutely did not.
Me either.
Well, Baker Mayfield, starting quarterback for the Browns, won a state championship for Lake Travis High School at AT&T Stadium in 2011, which happens to be the same year. In January 2011, Mike McCarthy won a Super Bowl at AT&T Stadium.
That's true.
Okay.
That's true.
Who is the backup quarterback for the Cleveland Browns? It is Case Keenum. He won a state championship for Abilene Wiley High School. Their practice squad quarterback, Garrett Gilbert, won not one, but I think 2 state championships for Lake Travis High School. And the Cowboys' backup quarterback, Andy Dalton, played in a state championship game for Katy High School at Texas Stadium. So there you go.
Well,
Wow.
So there's 4 of them right
good
there.
research.
And Alex
I
Van Pelt,
refuse
their
to research
offensive
it.
coordinator, played for San Antonio Churchill High School. Didn't make it to the state championship. They love their Texas quarterbacks, the Cleveland Browns do.
I refuse to do that homework there, Bill, because I have never been close to a national championship or a state championship. So that
But
was
you
on the
have
protest.
been close to a professional football championship.
Yes, I have, sir. I was a typical late bloomer. I have no great high school stories.
Hey, Bill, you
All
need,
right, Mickey,
you need an injury report here for going into
I
this
do.
Friday?
I want to know what's. Yeah.
Well,
Who's playing?
it sounds encouraging. Tyron Smith did practice yesterday on a limited basis, which means he took part in the 11-on-11. And when Mike McCarthy answered the question today about how he looked, he said Tyron is on track to play based on everything yesterday. He's in the direction of playing
Yes.
Sunday. So that was encouraging. And they also, on DeMarcus Lawrence, even though he hasn't practiced these first 2 days with the knee, he said that feels like he'll give us he'll give us a go on that day. So it looks like that they're just trying to get him to the game. Now, Trayvon Diggs only practiced on a limited basis, and to me, that means that he didn't take all the snaps in team. But again, I'm sure they're trying to protect that shoulder. And what they're doing, guys, is trying to make sure all 3 guys get to the game on Sunday. They don't leave it on Friday in a practice. So that sounds good. Kareem Hunt for Cleveland is. We'll see what happens today, but he has not practiced either Wednesday or Thursday with a groin injury. Odell Beckham was limited yesterday. His back flared up. And Ronnie Harrison Jr. Had an illness. He did not practice. Their encouraging news was Denzel Ward, the cornerback, that looked like he's going to be out with a groin injury, did practice on a limited basis. So we'll see where that one goes. But as far as for the Cowboys, it seems encouraging. And Jerry Jones felt really good about Tyron being ready to play. So the question would be, are you going to take Brandon Knight and put him where Terrence Steele was at right tackle if Tyron's playing, or does Steele stay there? And Mike McCarthy basically said you're going to have to tune in Sunday to find out.
What do you think, Mickey? Mickey, have you been able to look closely at Brandon Knight and Terrence Steele and make an evaluation yourself?
You know, I just get the feeling that they're going to stick with Steele over there. I think. Go ahead.
I agree with you. I think it, and especially since he's been playing on the right side. I think, when you go back and look, and I haven't looked at the entire game, but coach's film of a lot of the game, of course, he didn't play the entire game. He played 41 of the 82 snaps. So I've seen most all of his snaps in the game. And, I don't think that he had as many issues as maybe, there was one play where L.J. Collier, it was on the 4th and 1, where he got beat by L.J. Collier, their defensive lineman from TCU, that Zeke wound up getting the first down just barely on the play, and that was right before he came out. But in pass protection, I think he was okay, There were times where Brandon Knight was not as effective, especially in run blocking. And so I think that they would go with Steele at right tackle and Tyron at left tackle.
Yeah, and then, I think the other thing, I would imagine since Brandon Knight's had so much work at left tackle, it's easy to switch to the right side, but as the backup swing guy. But I don't know that Steele's taken any snaps on the left side. So they may be looking at it that way, too, if everything is equal. So
right.
We'll see.
Right.
How
and so Brandon's been taking the snaps at left tackle. Right.
Yeah. So we'll see how
That's
all that turns out. But anyway, the good news is Tyron will be on the. Looks like he'll at least start the game out there at left. And another thing that I think we haven't touched on about starting the game. This past game at cornerback, Daryl Worley started at right corner. That was his first start for the Cowboys, with Chidobe Awuzie out and Trayvon Diggs moving over to the left side. That was a nice veteran pickup, I thought, that they got in the offseason and free agency, because he's also been giving them some snaps previously at safety, too. So a guy that can kind of do both, I think, certainly has helped out the defense on that side. And he was the one that it was Brandon Carr. I think he got called for a hold or interference too, didn't he?
I think he got called for 2.
And Brandon
Carr got one in the end zone.
Yeah, and then I think Worley might have got.
Yeah, but on that drive, we had 3 of them. I believe he had 2 of them. I believe
Worley had the interception that was negated by the Jordan Lewis pass interference or hold or whatever they called on him. That was a critical play.
Yes.
But you look at, Brandon Carr was only in the game for 3 snaps on defense.
Yeah.
And one of them was the pass interference in the end zone, and he did make a good play in run defense. As I guess it was Carson was trying to score on the edge and got him out of bounds at the 1-yard line on a goal line play.
Yeah.
That was right after that one. But Worley played 73 snaps at right cornerback last week, and I agree with you. I thought at the time, if people did their research on Daryl Worley, he was a 3rd-round pick out of West Virginia. And then last year, he started every game for the Raiders, and in fact started at safety in the last game of the year for the Raiders last year. And so especially, and I thought that maybe at the time that they may want to bring Diggs along more slowly, where Worley would start to start the season. As it turns out, they've had injury issues anyway. And so now both of them are starting. But Diggs was going to, obviously they had made up their mind Diggs was going to be the starter to begin with anyway.
Well, they're going to have to live with it.
I got to tell you, I'm not sold yet on Worley. I'm sorry. I just haven't seen anything. Now, as far as just having, bodies out there, which is what we need.
Right, an experienced guy.
Experienced guy. I want him to show me that. Great interception. But here we have defensive backs who they're not just creating pass interferences. They're creating them because they won't move their feet. The fact that you have to reach out and grab someone all the time, first of all, that means that he has closed that gap on you. And it happens all the time. Yes, they're going to close the gap on the defensive back. They're going to close that cushion. But you have to be prepared to turn. You have to be prepared to negate his progress without using your hands. That's something that was done all the time back in the day. And I guess that's just not a thing that they do anymore. But your feet have to react, as opposed to your hands reacting, so that we can start making some of these plays. Every time you see pressure or a so-called coverage sack with the Cowboys, it's the result of a hold in the secondary. And that's something that we can't have. It allows the opposition to just march down the field without having to make a play. So make them make a play. Don't just give it to them. That's what I've seen so far.
So, see, you guys, Everson has a different bar of ability at the cornerback position. He wants them to make a play. I just don't want them to get beat.
But one of those plays that Everson that you're talking about was a big play on one of their touchdown drives in the second quarter of the game on Worley. He was called for a hold, and it negated a sack by Jordan Lewis, and it was on a 3rd and 10 play. They're punting if he doesn't hold. Now, one of the reasons that the sack occurred was because Worley held on the play, and Russell Wilson held the ball because of that. But having said that, it was a critical 3rd down play. One other thing I want to bring up before the break, because I just looked at it this morning, and on the coach's film, and it was Dak's interception at the end of the first half.
Yes.
Okay, which was a huge turnover in that game. If you go back and look at the coach's film on it, Amari Cooper at the top of your screen there, he's on the right side. Okay, the ball, it was a quick snap because it was less than a minute, 50 seconds left in the half. The ball is snapped to Dak. He's got the ball in his hand. If you freeze it right there, Amari Cooper is still in his stance. He was not ready to go at the snap of the ball. What happened on the play is Dak looks left, okay, and then he comes back right where Cooper is running a post or a slant, okay, over the middle, and then Dak double clutches because Cooper wasn't there yet because he was late getting off the line of scrimmage. He double clutches. Shaquille Griffin jumps the route. He's got safety help, and he comes up with the interception. But it all started with Cooper not getting off the line of scrimmage. He wasn't ready to go at the snap of the ball.
And then let me add to that, Bill, when I went and looked at it, just as he was trying to step into that pass and throw it, he got the ball off, and then he got blasted from the blind side. So the coverage broke down also. So a lot went into that. And then I went and looked at, and Dak's, what Dak is good at, and Everson understands the quarterback has to do this. He falls on his sword, right? We got to execute better. I got to get the ball out of my hands. So on the sack fumble to start the second half, here's what happens. The Cowboys go 2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers. They're going to max block, right, and just send 2 guys deep. So they're trying to do a play fake and throw deep. Well, here's what goes on. The Seahawks decide, no, we think you're going to throw the ball. So they rushed 8 guys. 8 guys they rushed. And Dak is waiting for somebody to get open. There's nobody open, and there's nowhere to throw the ball because only 2 guys go out.
So there's no hot route.
So he's saying, I got to get the ball out of my hands quicker. Well, I don't know where he was going to throw it because the middle of the field was wide open, but there wasn't a receiver to be seen because the 2 tight ends stayed in and blocked, and then the tackle on to the Cowboys' left beats Connor Williams, and he comes in. It comes in and hits him, and the ball comes out. There was nothing he could do. But that quarterback, there was one game, it was either last year or 2 years ago, he was taking the blame for all this, and he was answering the questions and basically saying the same thing. And afterwards, I went over to him, and I said, boy, you got a lot of stab wounds in your chest. And he goes, what are you talking about? I said, I know what you were doing. You were taking the fault for the mistakes of other people. And he just kind of smiled at me and goes, I'm the quarterback.
And by the way, that was an adjustment. They decided at halftime they were going to do that if they came out in a 2 tight end because they did that a lot in the first half where Schultz and Bell, when they were on the field at the same time, they were still throwing the ball and they were max protecting, and they only had the 2 wide receivers out on routes. And so they decided we're coming after them the next time they do that because they didn't believe the Cowboys were going to run the ball when they had 2 tight ends in the game.
Yep.
All right,
absolutely.
We got our picks to click when we come back in just a moment on Mick Shots.
Hey there, Cowboys fans. With Tide Cleaners at-home pickup and delivery, cleaning your clothes has never been more convenient. Simply sign up at your local store, set out your dirty clothes, and one of our Tide Cleaners professionals will come directly to your home for a totally contactless experience. Your clean garments will be returned promptly the next scheduled delivery day, so skip the errand and enjoy life, not laundry. Visit TideCleaners.com or your local store to sign up for Tide Cleaners at-home pickup and delivery today.
Since 1865, Stetson hats are American-made with pride right here in Texas. And Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Want to show your Texas and team pride too? You can. By purchasing your own Stetson, you can look just like how the flag guys do on field at every home game. Stetson hats, the official crown of all self-respecting Cowboys and your favorite football team.
Get yours today at shop.dallascowboys.com or at stetson.com.
What do you call a group of grown men and women who get together every week, proudly wearing the star, to share a 3-hour-long ritual of cheering, shouting at the TV, and raising their Miller Lite together while yelling, "How about them boys?" You call it Miller Time and Cowboys Nation. Here's to the only beer of the Cowboys celebrating 60 years of greatness. Here's to the original light beer. It's Miller Time. Celebrate responsibly. 2020 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
Hey, Cowboys fans, ready to spice up your next watch party? Bring Yo Quiero guacamole and be the game day hero. Yo Quiero means I want, and we know you want great, fresh-tasting, ready-to-serve guacamole for your home gating and tailgating events. Made with real avocados and the perfect blend of spices, it will be the star of any party. You can find us at your local Albertsons or Tom Thumb in the deli section. If you can't find it, talk to your store manager and tell them, Yo Quiero guacamole.
Back to Mick Shots.
Get the ultimate fan experience for the ultimate Cowboys fan. Join Dallas Cowboys United, presented by Globe Life, starting at just $20. Visit dallascowboys.com/united.
All right, we've got precious little time to get to our picks for this week because we've had such a good discussion here.
Not my fault. No. For once, it wasn't my fault.
Yeah. First time all year, it's not Everson's fault. All right, so how about Everson? Since you haven't had time to talk on this show, we'll give it to you first.
Okay.
Your pick to win and your picks to click. Cowboys and Browns, noon kickoff on Sunday.
As I told you last week, I always pick the Cowboys. It's just a matter of how they're going to win. Right now, I am looking at the score of Cowboys winning 24-20. The numbers are going to be down just a bit. Passing yards going to be down. I think Zeke is going to have a decent game. I think Zeke's going to get over 100 yards in this particular ball game. I think we're going to be heavy Zeke. I think that's going to lead for us to win the ball game with a lower score, 24-20. Dallas Cowboys win. My guy for this game, with all of the running, we're going to throw some play action in there. We're going to catch him off guard a little bit. You're talking about that 8-man blitz front. I think the Browns are going to have some type of a scheme in that manner. They're gonna come up with that. They're gonna game plan that formation. And my boy Schultz is gonna get out there with that play action. He's gonna be the main target. I see 8 catches for Schultz, at least 1 touchdown. Cowboys going in 24-20 with their second win of the season.
All right, I got you down. I wrote it all down for you. I just got to remember where I put it on Monday.
Don't worry.
All right, Mickey, you want to go next?
13. That'll be foul number 13.
I will go. I'm kind of in the same boat with Everson on the score. I've got the Cowboys 26-23. I think that they have enough offense and just enough defense to hold this team to a reasonable amount of points. And my pick to click, because the Browns are going to be so worried about Aldon Smith after his 3-sack game that Everson Griffin is going to finally break out and destroy whatever the Cleveland Browns throw at the Cowboys.
Wow. Okay, Everson Griffin. We haven't seen much from Everson here, and so it's time for Everson Griffin to make an impact here.
We just call him Griffin when he's not playing well.
As they used to say in the old days, it's time for him to shake a leg. Okay.
And I'm going to go with the Cowboys to win 27-20. And have you noticed that people are kind of down on Zeke this week?
Yes.
Yeah.
Coming out of the Seattle game?
Yeah.
I think there's that chip on his shoulder.
That's
I think
right.
He's probably hearing it. And I think he's heard a lot of talk about this run game that the Browns have. And so I'm picking Zeke Elliott to click this week. He's my pick to click.
I like
27-20, Cowboys win. We're all in the same range as far as the score goes.
I like how the Cowboys last week, they realized that Zeke wasn't really, he just didn't seem to have his footwork together. The brain and the feet weren't working well, and the hands. So they tried their best to get it to him in several different ways. They said, okay, you're not running the ball well. We're going to keep getting it to you on passes. This is what we promised you in the offseason. You're going to be a catalyst for us. You're going to be our, we're going to throw all these things out at them, and you're going to be our guy when it's all said and done. They tried their best to put that into the game plan and implement it. It just wasn't working that day. Just wasn't working.
Well,
He'll be back. You're right, Bill. This is going to be his game.
They kept trying to take advantage of him with those screen passes, and they just weren't coordinated. Then the one time they were, Joe Looney got called for being illegally downfield, and he was like 5 or 7 yards. So,
and then another time, his guy made the tackle coming down the line.
Right.
So, yeah, that screen wasn't working. Joe had a lot to do with the ineptness of the screen work.
Mickey, who does Missouri got this week?
They are at Tennessee. At Tennessee this week. And they're still
at Tennessee.
And they're still searching for a quarterback. Anytime I hear the coach say, "Yeah, we're going to play both of them," that's like, I don't like to hear that.
Oh, no. No. Craig Morton, no, that's not going to happen. Craig Morton and Roger, not happening.
I'm looking at the college football slate. Alabama and Texas A&M at 2:30 on CBS is one of the featured matchups. TCU and Texas tomorrow.
Where are the Sooners?
My Sooners play at Iowa State, and they better win tomorrow. They play Iowa State, and then next week, the Cotton Bowl in Dallas. It's already time for Oklahoma versus Texas next week.
And Grambling is going to check with you guys in the springtime. How about that?
Well, a special edition of Mick Shot.
They're at Grambling.
We're moving on to the springtime. We'll see you guys in April sometime, and we'll talk about it then.
All right. In the meantime, we'll enjoy Cowboys and over under. How many fans we going to have in the stands on Sunday?
25,000.
25,000.
Yes.
We're going up by 4,000 this week.
22.5. We're going to be 22.5.
Yeah. Doesn't matter who all is tested positive. We're going up with our numbers here.
We don't care, damn it. We're in Texas. We don't care.
All right. That does it for Mick Shots, and we will see you again on Monday live at 1:30. Mickey inside the SWBC Mortgage Studios.
Yes, sir.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!